is now my great pleasure and honor to introduce Professor Mabizela, a distinguished and highly esteemed academic. Professor Mabizela currently serves as the Vice Chancellor of Rhodes University. His contributions to academia and leadership in higher education are widely recognized and celebrated. Professor Mabizela is a professor of mathematics. Prior to assuming this position in November 2014, he served as the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and Student Affairs at Rhodes University from 2008 to 2014. Professor Mabizela's research interests are in approximation theory and applied functional analysis. He received his PhD in mathematics from Pennsylvania State University in 1991. Between 1992 and 2003, Professor Mabizela was an academic in the Department of Pure and Applied Mathematics at the University of Cape Town, where he rose through the academic ranks to the level of associate professor and deputy head of department. In 2004, he was offered and accepted a chair in mathematics at Rhodes University. For a number of years, Prof Mabizela was a member of the South African Mathematics Olympiad Committee. In July 2014, he chaired the 55th International Mathematics Olympiad, which was held at the University of Cape Town. The first time this international mathematics competition has ever been held under the African sky. Professor Mabizela has served on a number of ministerial advisory committees and task teams on various aspects of education. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Mabizela with a hearty round of applause.
Thank you very much, CEO Mr. Govender, our program director, Mr. Africa, always full of energy. Chair and other members of the organizing committee for this conference, keynote speakers, conference participants, honored guests, colleagues and friends, welcome to the 2024 PURCON. It is with much delight that I welcome you all to the PURCON2024 conference. Our sincere appreciation and gratitude go to our organizing committee, the amazing Eastern Cape region. I'm certain that they have organized what will be an intellectually stimulating, engaging, successful, and memorable conference. On behalf of our universities and the regional conference organizing team, we acknowledge with much appreciation and sincere gratitude our eminent keynote speakers who have very kindly and graciously accepted our invitation for them to address this conference. We also offer our profound gratitude and heartfelt appreciation to all the conference presenters for their time and effort in preparing their presentations for this conference. This conference would not have been possible without you and your participation. As we all can appreciate, higher education institutions are complex organizations with different role players contributing to the overall success of our institutions. All of you, whether you are in procurement, finance, ICT, or facilities management matter. Each one of you matter. You are all an essential part of this complex ecosystem in which diverse parts interact in a mutually supportive and reinforcing manner to firstly, produce path-breaking research and creative outputs which expand the frontiers of knowledge and propel humanity forward. Knowledge which contributes to the improvement of the quality of life, the advancement of sustainable development, and the deepening of human understanding and wisdom. Secondly, to produce graduates who are critical, engaged, and empathetic citizens who can contribute to the creation of a just, sustainable, inclusive, and equitable society. When talking about higher education, people invariably think of students and academic staff. Little do people realize that you are, in fact, the backbone of our higher education institutions, supporting the intellectual project of our institutions. The support divisions, more generally, facilitate and enable the academic endeavor. We need you if we are to position our higher education institutions for greater success, for resilience and sustainability in an ever-evolving national and global higher education landscape. Your contribution is vital if the higher education institutions are to meaningfully contribute to our quest to advance human progress and find effective and sustainable solutions to the enduring grand challenges of our time, which include climate change and environmental degradation, food insecurity, water scarcity, diseases and pandemics, poor quality of education, issues of safety and security, human migration, global conflicts, hunger, malnutrition, and poverty in the world of plenty, extreme and unsustainable global wealth disparities, gender inequality and gender-based violence, and much, much more. In the South African context, we must honor the injunction of our Constitution to free the potential of every citizen. We are called upon as higher education institutions to free the potential of every citizen of this country. It is in working together, each contributing according to their skills and strengths, that higher education can fulfill its indispensable role in the process of nation building and the realization of a just and prosperous society. Let me turn, albeit briefly, to something of concern to higher education leaders: financial sustainability of our higher education institutions. As you know, higher education institutions have three main sources of income: state subsidy grant, student tuition fees, and third stream income. Despite the significant expansion in student enrollments in higher education over the past 30 years, government funding has not kept pace with this growth. And in real terms, government funding has been declining steadily over time. This has placed higher education institutions in a precarious financial situation as they are forced to do more with less. Until the watershed fees must fall protests of 2015-2016, higher education institutions relied on increasing student fees at a higher rate than inflation in order to offset the decline in state funding. This approach, of course, shifted the burden of funding higher education from the state to students and parents, and was completely unsustainable. It made sure that only those who can afford would access higher education. Since the Fees Must Fall protest of 2015-2016, government has technically capped fee increases of higher education institutions. Each year, the Minister of Higher Education and Training indicates the level of fee increases, notwithstanding the fact that decisions on fee increases lie within the purview of our councils. The Minister suggests that fee increases have to be pegged at a particular level. Of course, no institution will take a chance of increasing those fees way above what has been advised by the minister. There is now a discussion on a policy framework for the regulation of fees. In recent years, government has had to cut block grant and earmarked funding to fund the National Student Financial Aid Scheme shortfalls, and thereby putting even greater pressure on the higher education institutions. As you are aware, in 2023, NSFAS introduced a capping on residence fees and contracted third parties, FinCo companies, to disperse student allowances. This has been an absolute disaster. On the whole, despite its best intentions, the NSFAS scheme has been beset with challenges which have placed the stability and financial sustainability of higher education institutions at an even greater risk. All these decisions by DHET and NSFAS have left higher education institutions financially vulnerable and have created a deep sense of uncertainty about financial sustainability of higher education institutions. This has had a significant negative impact on the quality of higher education, the maintenance of infrastructure and facilities, acquisition of state-of-the-art research equipment, investing in technology upgrades, recruitment and retention of high-caliber academic and research staff, and much, much more. The operational costs of running our institutions have grown much faster than inflation. Now, the capping of the residence fees has led to a substantial increase in student debt. As you know, the current national debt is around 18 billion rand and is growing. And it has grown significantly as a result of the decisions of NSFAS. Some students have opted to leave university accommodation system in order not to incur further debt and have decided to rent off-campus accommodation in conditions less ideal for quality learning. Now, this means that these students will struggle to cope with their studies and possibly drop out and be crippled for the rest of their life with the debt incurred under these circumstances. This will also lead to poor pass and throughput rates, which in turn will create bottlenecks in our system and will further put pressure on already strained financial resources of higher education. Another significant challenge faced by higher education institutions is the funding of the missing middle students and postgraduate students. While the NSFAS is available to young people whose family income is less than 350,000, we are as yet to create a financially affordable and sustainable mechanism to fund the missing middle. Young people who come from families of nurses, teachers, civil servants, whose income is slightly above the threshold of 350,000, but not nearly enough to can afford university education. These young people are not accommodated in our funding mechanisms at the moment. While the National Research Foundation has the mandate to fund postgraduate students, their funding resources are very limited. And as you may expect, the demand far outstrips available resources. In circumstances of final pressure, higher education institutions generally reduce funding for maintenance in order to prioritize other areas. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that we make in higher education institutions. When we balance our budget, we will always cut funding that is meant to address issues of infrastructure maintenance. So as a result, many institutions are struggling with backlog maintenance that has been compromised over the years by the inadequate funding of higher education. Given the low rate of economic growth and the pervasive unemployment and debilitating poverty, funding from the state or through student tuition fees will remain severely constrained. What is to be done? As we know, challenges of financial sustainability require concerted efforts at both revenue generation and cost management. We must address issues of risk that are associated with our financial sustainability. We must rigorously reflect on the risks that we face as higher education institutions, reduce or eliminate those we can, mitigate and manage the rest. We must take advantage of new opportunities. Of course, this is where this body comes effective. We need to ensure value for money in the procurement of goods and services. And we must realize efficiencies in all our operations. Diversification of revenue streams becomes an important intervention to fund higher education institutions. Third stream income will play a significant role in sustaining our higher education institutions. The private sector, philanthropic organizations must contribute meaningfully in supporting higher education. Research grants, contract funding, and short-course funding can assist in funding research infrastructure, postgraduate bursaries and scholarships, and the acquisition of the state-of-the-art research equipment. Regional sharing of research equipment can assist hugely when funds are not available for each institution to have their own piece of equipment. We must take full advantage of the phenomenal technological advancement to modernize our operations. So now, over the past few years, we have witnessed a staggering explosion of technological advancement. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, virtual learning, and all of these have become an everyday reality. Now, we must leverage this massive technological development to enhance the quality of teaching and learning, research and innovation in our higher education institutions, and improve throughput rates. We must address issues of corruption and fraudulent activities in our institutions. We know that supply chain management creates opportunities for corruption and fraud. We must clamp down on these. It is my hope that this conference will allow you time and space to share good practice, insights, and experiences on how best we might ensure long-term financial sustainability of our higher education institutions. May you, at the end of this conference, leave with a renewed sense of hope and optimism that through our individual and collective efforts, tomorrow will be a better day than today. I thank you.